A dream come true, Princess Leonor lavished wedding defines Spain's royal future. The world expected elegance. They expected grandeur. But what they didn't expect was emotion. Because on this day, Spain didn't just witness a royal wedding. It witnessed the birth of a new royal era. In a world where monarchy often feels distant, Princess Leonor of Spain reminded everyone what it means to lead with heart. Her wedding wasn't just a ceremony, it was a declaration. A declaration of love, of courage, and of a royal future redefined. And as she walked down the aisle, beneath golden chandeliers and centuries of history, something magical happened. Spain didn't just gain a queen in waiting. It gained hope. 1. The fairy tale Spain waited for. From the first morning light, Madrid buzzed like never before. The air was heavy with anticipation, the streets filled with color, song, and joy. Spain had seen royal weddings before, but never one quite like this. Because Leonor wasn't just marrying for duty. She was marrying for love. Across the capital, every balcony was dressed in red and gold. Children waved flags, churches rang their bells, and television screens glowed in homes across the nation. It felt as though the entire country held its breath for one extraordinary moment, when the future queen would step into history. But behind the fairy tale was a journey, long, emotional, and deeply human. 2. The journey to the altar. For years, Princess Leonor lived in the shadow of expectation. Born to King Felipe and Queen Letizia, she was Spain's promise, educated, disciplined, and poised for the throne. Yet, despite her royal training, Leonor always carried a quiet strength, a sense of authenticity that made people feel connected to her. She wasn't untouchable. She was real. Her life had been a delicate balance between crown and self. And when love found her, it tested everything she'd been taught. Because the man she chose was not chosen for her. He wasn't a royal match made by advisors or tradition. He was chosen by her heart. At first, the relationship stayed quiet, whispered about only in royal circles. But as the years passed, the connection deepened, undeniable and pure. And when their engagement became official, Spain erupted in emotion. Some cheered, some questioned, but all watched, because this wasn't just another royal love story. It was the story of a young woman daring to build her destiny her way. 3. The lavished wedding of 2025. The date, May 2025. The location, Madrid's royal palace. A vision of opulence, tradition, and romance. The palace courtyard was transformed into a garden of white roses and golden lilies. The air shimmered with music from the Royal Philharmonic. Every corner glowed with candlelight and history. And then, she appeared. Princess Leonor, in a gown that redefined royal elegance. Hand-stitched in Spain, inspired by generations of queens, but designed for the modern age. No glittering excess, just grace. Every pearl and diamond whispering tradition, every fold of silk symbolizing strength. As she walked toward the altar, her father, King Felipe, beside her, emotion rippled through the crowd. His eyes glistened with pride. The people saw not just a king, but a father letting go of his little girl. And at the altar, waiting with steady eyes and a quiet smile, was her love. Their hands met. The world sighed. 4. The vows that touched a nation. The ceremony began in silence. Cameras zoomed in as Leonor took her vows, not as a princess, not as an heir, but as a woman who understood the weight of every word. I promise, she said softly, to serve my country with truth and love, and to walk this life not alone, but with the one my heart has chosen. Her voice trembled, and for the first time, the world saw a royal heir show emotion not as weakness, but as power. When her groom responded, his words were simple but profound. You are my heart's crown, not of gold, but of courage. The audience, silent for a moment, erupted into applause. Even Queen Letizia wiped away a tear. It was a wedding rooted in tradition, but alive with feeling. 5. The reaction across Spain. As bells rang across Madrid, the emotion spread far beyond the palace gates. From Seville to Barcelona, from Valencia to Granada, crowds gathered in squares, watching the ceremony unfold on giant screens. Tears, laughter, joy, it was as though Spain itself had been reborn through this royal union. And while the palace glittered in gold, the streets glowed with light and music. People danced, toasted, and celebrated, not just a royal couple, but the spirit of a nation united once again. Because this wedding wasn't about titles. It was about connection. Leonor's love story reminded Spain what royalty could mean in a modern world: heart, honesty, and humanity. 6. Behind palace doors. Later that evening, after the ceremony, a private dinner was held inside the royal palace. Guests included leaders, foreign royals, and family friends, but in those grand halls, something rare happened. Laughter filled the air. The Spanish royal family, often seen as formal and restrained, shared stories, jokes, and tears. Queen Letizia reportedly told her daughter, "You've given Spain something I never could, a royal moment that feels like home." And King Felipe, usually composed, lifted his glass and said, "Tonight, Spain doesn't just celebrate a wedding. We celebrate our future." Every word carried weight. Every look between them carried love. 7. The balcony moment that defined 2025. As midnight neared, the royal couple stepped onto the balcony overlooking Madrid's Royal Square. Below them, tens of thousands of people. Flags waving. Cheers echoing through the night. Leonor looked at her husband, smiled through tears, and whispered, "We did it." He took her hand, and together they waved, two young royals at the beginning of a legacy. Fireworks erupted across the sky, gold and crimson lighting up the city. The sound of celebration carried for miles. In that moment, every Spaniard watching felt a shared truth. This wasn't just the start of a marriage. It was the rebirth of Spain's royal spirit. 8. The morning after, a nation transformed. The next morning, headlines covered every newspaper. Leonor's wedding defines Spain's future. A modern queen, a new era. The fairy tale that felt real. Analysts, journalists, and royal experts all agreed, the monarchy had entered a new chapter. Gone were the days of rigid formality and distant protocol. Leonor's warmth, authenticity, and devotion to her people had reshaped everything. Even beyond Spain's borders, the wedding became a symbol of hope. Denmark, France, the UK, all sent their blessings. The world had witnessed not just a spectacle, but a story. And for the people of Spain, it became a reminder: royalty is not about being above, it's about being among. 9. The legacy of a dream. In the weeks that followed, Spain continued to celebrate. Royal supporters filled social media with tributes, drawings, and letters of gratitude. The phrase, "a dream come true," appeared everywhere, not because it sounded poetic, but because it was true. Princess Leonor had turned duty into destiny. She showed that royalty could evolve without losing its soul. And with her new husband by her side, she began preparing for the next chapter, not just as a wife, but as the leader who would one day carry Spain's crown into the future. 10. The meaning of it all. Looking back, one thing became clear: this wedding wasn't about luxury. It wasn't about diamonds or crowns. It was about love that refused to be silenced. About a generation of royals who no longer hide behind tradition, but walk proudly with authenticity. About a princess who reminded her people that the heart of Spain still beats, strong, proud, and deeply human. Princess Leonor's wedding didn't just define 2025. It defined the future of Spain's monarchy: modern, meaningful, and full of grace. And as the echoes of that day continue to ring through royal halls and city streets, one truth remains unshakable. Dreams, even for those born to rule, are still worth fighting for. Because when love leads, history follows. And in 2025, Spain witnessed not just a royal wedding. It witnessed a dream come true.